Hi, in this tutorial we will solve exercise 2.5 from the textbook. We have some experience now solving this type of exercises and we are getting the ER, and in addition we will get the set of relations, and for this exercise we're going to add an additional step of converting the relations into DDL SQL statements that will be implemented in Oracle. So the first section of the exercise doesn't give us any information that we can use for the ER diagram. It's just telling the name of the company, why is the reason for them to request this database, and something about how much they will pay us. Okay, so remember that for the ER, we're looking for entities and relationships. So on the first bullet of the description of the requirements for this database, we got information about musicians, and we got some of their attributes, social security, name, and address. And then there is a second sentence there that we will ignore for now, that talks about that some musicians will have the same address, and then the address do not have any other phone. Has no more than one phone per address. So we will go back to that information soon. So first we just, as my first step, since musician is an entity, then I will draw a rectangle, which the one that I'm highlighting here, and then I will put the ellipses, the attributes. Then I move into the next section that talks about instruments. And then again for instruments, I have something about the unique identification, the name, and then there is something about the domain that I'm not able to capture in the ER, but I could do that in the SQL statements. And then the musical key. So now the next step is to draw the rectangle for instruments. And this is what we will do next. We draw that, and then we put the attributes there. Okay, then we go here, and then talks about songs, has a title and an author. And then here I think I add the identification that they didn't describe, but when it's something unique. That uniqueness could be also the title, but I think I added something else here on songs. So that was something that I just put it on when I was solving that exercise the last time. Like, you see song ID is not on the specifications. I think we could go with title, but I mean either way is fine here. Now we talk about musicians. Musician is an entity, and then instruments is an entity. So we're identifying then a relationship, and the relationship will be they play. So a musician play instruments, and a given instrument may be played by several musicians. So then this is a one-to-many play. So we're going to look. Well, let's see again. A given instrument may be played by several musicians. Okay, so here, this is the one that I have identified there as a many-to-many, and in this case I put a many-to-many because that will allow me to have multiple musicians playing multiple instruments too. Okay, for the next section talks about an album has a number of songs, but no song may appear on more than one album. Okay. So we got here albums, and then it says that has songs, and then this is a one-to-many because those songs belongs to that specific album. And I think I didn't explain anything about the album when I was looking at that. I think I said it, but I didn't point to this section. Okay, so we got two more bullets here. So now a song is performed by one or more musicians. So this is perform. So one or more in one side, and a musician may perform a number of songs. So then perform between musicians and songs is identified here as another many-to-many. And then here, each album has exactly one musician who acts as the producer. Okay, so here is the producer, and this is a relationship between album and musician. And then it specifies here the cardinality because it says a musician may produce several albums, and each album has exactly one. So this should be a one-to-many. And look at the also how this is indicated with the one-to-many. We don't see it there. Okay, so now this ER diagram captures all the information that I described here, but the second line on the first bullet. Remember the second sentence, the second sentence that says poorly paid musicians often share the same address and no address may have more than one phone. That is not in my ER. Okay, so this answer, it is okay without taking that into account. I will now show you the answer that was given by the author and the part that I say that I don't like, and I will ask you to change that in the discussion sessions. So here, this is the same information that we got there, but look at how they make a difference on having a place and telephone here. And then here they forgot to put on the phone. They should underline phone as the key for this attribute, so it should be unique, so they should be underlined. So here we got address and place. So they use these in the textbook, but I told you I don't like that. So what I would like you to do in the discussion is that you will provide me an alternative to represent this. And I can give you two hints. Either you define between musicians and an entity set, maybe a binary relationship, or maybe you can do something between musician and these two entities and get a ternary relationship. I want you to propose something so we can substitute and get something equivalent. So now what we're doing, so I want that you to work on that. What I will do is for the exercise that we're doing, since you're going to be discussing that, I will get the derived tables, assuming that this is the solution, and this is okay for my exercise. And now from here, we will get uh, the tables. The transform. I will use that to do the set of relationships. So the other part I want you to work on the discussion sessions. So here we're gonna go and say musicians. We'll change the font for this. Then for the paragraph. Okay, musicians is a social security number, has a name, an address, and a phone. Okay, before I close the parentheses, I need to check if there are any foreign keys. So I check with the relationships here. I had a one-to-many, I don't get in a foreign key here, I don't get a foreign key from a many-to-many, and I don't get in a foreign key from a many-to-many. So then it's okay. So we can close that now. So for this paragraph, we don't want spaces there. Okay, so then let's go with place. So on place, we get the key from the musician social security number and the key from the instrument ID. And we need to underline the social security for the musician, and we need to underline these two. Okay, now instruments. Then we get the instrument ID and the instrument name, the key. And the instrument ID is my primary key. Okay, so then I don't get any foreign keys there. Now album, we get a foreign key from musicians, and that's it. We don't get foreign keys from the other relationship. So then we get the album ID, um, and we get the title, copyright, date, speed, 1 2 3 4, and then we get in a foreign key, right, which is the producer social security number. Okay, and this is the key. Now we get songs, and it's a one-to-many, so we're gonna get the key. So here we got, and then we get a key from album, so we got this on ID, which I put that on my own title, author, I got title, so author, and the key from the album, so the album ID, this is the key, and we'll underline that. And finally we need performs. So for performs, we got the musician social security number and the song ID. These together will be my keys. So we underline that. Okay, so I will stop here, and on the next tutorial I will use these statements to make them um, SQL statements that we're going to test that in Oracle.